What's up? What's up? Welcome to our YouTube channel. I am your girl, Pastor Courage Molina. I am so excited that you are here on this wonderful Wednesday night for TGIW. Listen, this is a great lineup for women of faith, women of purpose. This YouTube channel is really for women of faith who want to grow their faith in Christ and in the Word of God, and who want to get strategies on how to go after the thing that God has called them to do. So if that is you, be sure to subscribe to this channel. You do not want to miss it. So listen, we have kind of been in this book series for a few weeks now. I hope y'all are loving this book series. Let me know in the chat what you guys think of this book series. We've been doing this book series now for a few weeks, and the book series continues. This is number 4. And what I want to talk to you about tonight is I want to actually help you to avoid the number one mistake that self-published authors make. It is the number one mistake. And I want for you to avoid that. And I'm going to tell you this, I did. Let me tell you what happened. So what most of us do, you get this great idea, you hear the Lord telling you, somebody's encouraging you, somebody tells you that you need to write a book, you need to publish a book. They tell you how easy it's going to be. They tell you about the process, and you're like, okay, you finally commit to it. You're like, yes, I'm going to do it. Then you put in all the work, all the hours to outline the book. I hope you have an outline. That's a whole nother thing for a whole nother day. You put in all the trouble of outlining the book, coming up with who your audience is going to be. Then you start writing the book. You are dedicating time to writing the book. And then you press through to the editing, because that edit, anybody here published a book before? If you can speak to that in the chat, let us know. Listen, that editing process, you think, who needs this book? I don't even like the book. I hate the book. I don't want to publish the book anymore. But you've already started on this journey. So you've done all this work. You've done all this writing, and now you're in the editing process. And even though you hate the book, and you might even start to dislike your editor because you are tired of this process, you feel like you are just not going to make it. You continue to push through, and you do the work, and you get all the things. You get it designed, you get the front cover done, you get all of the, the little things, and all of the necessary parts to make this thing a reality. The small little tedious tasks, that's the word I was looking for, tedious tasks. You do all these small tedious tasks, and there's plenty of them, to get this going. You get excited, and then you start to promote it. Maybe. I think a lot of people start to promote the book. People know it's coming out. People are asking about it. You're like, yes, my book is coming out. Maybe you don't do pre-sales. I recommend that you do pre-sales, but maybe you don't. But you definitely start to promote the book. You talk about when it's going to come out. You're so excited. You can't wait. You're like, yes, it's coming out. Now you're back to being excited because you got your copy in your hand. You're like, yes, I got my copy. You get your books come. You're like, oh my God, I actually wrote a book. You start to put them in envelopes and send them off and get them ready for the people who pre-ordered, and you're super excited. And then you launch, and you're like, yes, and you're so excited. You're nervous, but you're still super duper excited that you published a book. Maybe you do a launch party. Maybe it's a virtual launch party, or maybe you do a launch party in person, and people can come and meet you, and it's your friends and your family and the people who have been following you for some time, and they're so excited about this book. And so you put it out, you finally did it, you self-published, you're super excited about it, you do the launch. Maybe you even do a tour, right? Maybe you do like a little podcast tour, you do a couple lives, right? A couple of collaborative lives, and you're so super excited. Listen, I did that. I wrote a great book. I don't know if you know this. Power Principles, Courageous Living, How I Overcame Depression and Took Back My Life. I wrote this book. I typed. I cried while I typed. I set aside time. I sent it through several rounds of editing. I started to tell my following about it because I didn't really consider myself at the time an author. I was a coach and I wanted to be able to help more people. It was one of the reasons that I decided to self-publish. And so I was promoting it on Facebook and on Instagram, and I did pre-sales, and I'm like, get your autographed copy. I made it available on Amazon, and they could also get it from my website, and all of these things. And so we did a launch and it was exciting. I did a book cover reveal, which was also super exciting, at a restaurant for my birthday. I did all these things. The book came. Oh my gosh. I was like, it looks like a book. I'm a reader. So it was important that it looks like a book. Like what? I was just told, you can see me admiring it right now. Like, what? This actually came from an idea that I had, and I physically have it in my hand. I started thinking, ooh, that's why people tell people they published a book, because they understand the amount of work they put into it. I'm like, oh no, I published a book, baby. I published a book. I did all of those things. I sent them off. I signed them. I did a couple of events. And then I made the mistake that so many other self-published authors make. Do you know that what do you think? Let me not say do you know. Let's guess for a second. Let's take a little look-see of a guest. I want you to drop in the chat for me. What do you think the average number of book sales are for the life of a self-published book? Average number of books sold over the lifetime of a book for a self-published author. Just what do you think that average is? I just want to see. Some of y'all might know it. If you're in publishing, Laverta, if you have published a book, if you're in the process of publishing a book, then you probably have seen it somewhere. You probably know this information. Let me know what you think that number is. I'm going to tell you, because that number, okay, I didn't do the math, right? But I know it's not all about the money, but I'm going to do the math real quick. Okay. I got the number right here. I wanted to do the math real quick. What is the average number of books sold over the lifetime of a self-published book? The lifetime, not the first year, second year, third year, the lifetime of a self-published book. If you put 250 in the chat, you are right. It is 200. On average, 250 books are sold in the lifetime of a self-published book. 250. If your book is $25, then we're talking, I did the math, let me see. We're talking $6,250. Now, I know right now somebody's saying, well, I didn't do it for the money. But here's the thing. If you publish a book, you write a book that you wanted to change lives. I wrote this book because I wanted to change lives. How many? As many lives as I could possibly change. I want as many women to read this book and to learn and glean and apply the principles that I teach in this book, right? I want as many women. I want to touch a million women. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm got a big number like that, right? Because I think about how these principles changed my life, how they changed my marriage, how they saved me. I remember my dark days, right? And so I wrote this book because I wanted to see families change. I wanted to see the lives of women change. I wanted for women, especially women of faith, because I felt like I was a woman of faith. I was a woman who believed God. And even as a woman who had faith in God, I was still a woman who prayed for death in the middle of the night. I prayed that death would come and take me. Even though I went to church on Sunday, I was a woman who was drinking Southern Comfort with my pancakes in the morning. A little SoCo, cranberry juice, and ginger ale with some pancakes and some bacon. That was my lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? I was a woman who was drinking a bottle of wine a night. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, so when God brought me out of that, and these were the principles that he used to do it, I wrote this book so that I could change lives. If you're thinking about writing a book, if you've written a book, you've written it for what? Don't allow the enemy to have you downplaying it and start perverting it and make you think like, oh, well, I didn't do it for the money. Here's the thing. Unless you can afford to print and give away millions of copies, then your sales are you serving. That's not really what this video is about, but I got to take a little detour here real quick. Unless you can afford to publish these books on your, like, you can pay for the publishing of them, pay for the printing. I mean, unless you can afford to pay for the printing and the shipping, and you don't have to charge anybody, you can just give them all away for free. If you can afford to do that, if you have a business model that allows you to do that, cool. Then it's not about how many books you sell. It's about how many books you get into the hands. But if you cannot afford that, that means in order for a person to get the book in the hand, they have to buy the book. And before they can buy the book, you have to sell the book. That means if your book does the average in its lifetime, your book at best can only touch 250 lives. And that's assuming that everybody that buys it reads it. And we all know that's not true. How many of you have my book and you still haven't read it? I mean, you ain't got to put your name in the chat. I'm just saying. How many of you have purchased books that are on your shelf and you still haven't read them? Right? So even if your book does average 250 in the lifetime, that still means you've reached less than 250, even if at best there was some type of miracle where everybody who bought your book read your book. 250 lives. That's why you wrote the book. That's why you poured out your heart, your soul, and told your dirty little secrets and what the Lord, that's why you did it? No, not for 250. Numbers matter because those numbers represent lives. We're not defined by the numbers, but we are not going to ignore them either. My book can't impact a woman who doesn't buy it. Meanwhile, if you haven't bought Power Principles of Courageous Living, How I Overcame Depression and Took Back My Life, you should get it. You can go to CourageMolina.com to get an autographed copy. Go to my website, CourageMolina.com. Get my book. You can also buy it from Amazon, right? Why do you think that self-published authors, on average, their books sell 250 books? Why do you think that is? And the answer to that is the biggest mistake. It's the biggest mistake, actually. It's not because they're not great writers. Stop. We good. It's not because they weren't called. It's not because there's not an audience for it. It's not any of those things. The reason is because most of the publishers, self-publishing authors, make the same mistake that I made. Self-published authors stop promoting. If you've just met me here recently, if you've just come to know me or my brand or the church, maybe in the last few weeks you've learned that I've written a book, but it is very possible that you've been with me for a long time and you think I just wrote this book. This book came out, I want to say 2018. Yep, book came out 2018. It's 2022. This book came out 2018. You can scroll. I mean, it's probably going to be hard for you to do that now, but you can scroll through my Instagram. You can scroll through Facebook and see how often, or if you can even find this before these last few weeks. We started this book series for this purpose because the Lord helped me to see that he's not done with this book. We said 20,000 lives, no matter how long it takes. I think my new favorite number is 1 million now. I think that's my new favorite number. And I say 1 million to imply that even when you've hit a number that you thought you couldn't hit, there are still so many people who haven't been impacted and whose lives haven't been transformed by your book. So I think my new favorite number is 1 million. It seems like an arbitrary number. And it kind of is, but 1 million helps to set the tone to how much promoting I actually need to be doing. If I'm going to reach 1 million, if I'm going to get this book into the hands of 1 million women. Now I'm doing better than average, sold more than 250 copies, but being better than average is not my goal. My goal is to get it into the hands of 1 million women, and I ain't there yet. All right. And so after the launch season, what we do is like we move on to the next thing. There was this excitement around the book. And when that excitement dies down, we just stop, not realizing that we, the author, have been called to create and increase and keep up that momentum, that we have to be the ones with the flag sharing and talking about our books and letting people know. And it's not about self-promoting. This book has changed lives. I've met women who have told me, I read your book and stayed in my marriage, and we are doing better than ever. I've met women who said, I read your book and I got a therapist, changing my life. So stop. Don't let the enemy make you think, oh, it's about self-promoting. It's not about self-promoting. You wrote a book that God gave you to help his women, but you're not talking about it. So there are women who know you, who are connected to you, who are following your brand, who are following your, platforms and all of that. They don't even know you got a book out. Everybody should know that you have a book, and everybody that follow you should know what your book is about, whether they bought it, read it, or don't plan on ever reading it. They should know about it. It should not come as a shock as people who have been with you for weeks and months that you have a book. That they should not be shocked. But what happens is we stop promoting the book after that initial thing happens, that initial excitement, as if the book is old and stale, like the book ain't no good. That's not true. This book's still good, written in 2018. One of the books that I recommend the most, The Pursuit of God, was written before I was even born. It's 2022, and what's in there changes the lives of my people and the people I recommend it to right now today. I can think of another book that was written a long time ago that ain't old, that ain't stale. The Bible, right? Like it's not old, it's not stale, right? I want to say this. If you have written a book and published it, I don't care how well you've done. If you've written a book and you've published it, even if you're an Amazon bestseller, I know like we do these things so that we can become an Amazon bestseller. That's cool. But if it sold less than 1 million copies and you wrote that book to help people, I want you to get back to promoting it. Okay. I want you to pick it up. I want you to dust it off. I want you to revamp some of your graphics and all of those things. And I want you to get a real plan to start promoting your book, to start pushing your book so that people know about it. Okay. I want you to start doing that. I want you to get back to it. I want you to start promoting it. And listen, if you need some accountability, some encouragement, if you want, listen, I'm about to start promoting my book. I don't know if y'all can tell, I'm doing a book series. You see what I'm saying? I'm doing a book series that I hope will help other people who want to write books, but it's also going to let the people who are following me know that I have a book that can change their life. A book for their friends, a book for their sisters, their moms. Men love the book, actually. It's funny. You're going to laugh. You're going to cry. And if you apply the principles that I teach, you're going to change your life too. Even if you think you know me, even if we're friends, friend, read the book, friend. It's stuff I put in the book that I don't necessarily say, right? Read the book, friend. And if you've written a book and you're ready to get back to promoting it, I want to invite you to join Courageous Faith membership. I want to invite you to join Courageous Faith membership so that you can get into this program and you can get some accountability. I want you to be able to get some accountability. I want you to be able to set some goals. I want you to come and get this live coaching. I want you to connect with other women so that we can hold you accountable, right? I don't want you to miss this. Pick that book up. Listen, you wrote a book. Have you sold 1 million copies? You haven't sold 1 million copies? And listen, when you get to 1 million copies, that you might need to go for 2 million copies. Have you sold 1 million copies? You haven't? Then I want you to get back to promoting that book. I want you to get back to promoting that book. Okay. Listen, I hope that you have loved this. I hope that this has blessed you. Let me know if there's something that you want to hear from me as it relates to my book or the book writing process. I'd love to hear from you. Listen, if you bought the book and you read the book and you haven't done a review, please do a review on Amazon. If you got it from Amazon, if you bought it from the website, please do a review on my website. Right? Let people know. It's easy for me to tell everybody that the book is great, but if you read the book and the book was great, If you read the book a long time ago, maybe you need to read it again. I'm reading it again for this book series. Just a reminder. I think like when you read your own book, it's a reminder of how good the work actually is, right? Like you wrote the book, but you didn't necessarily like. But when I read it, I'm like, dang, this is really good. This book is really, really good. You know what I'm saying? So you should, read it again if you haven't read it in a while and start applying these principles to where you are in life because they still work. The principles still have power. I use them not just to get out of depression. I use them to build the ministry, to grow the church. I'm using those principles I live by. These are the principles I live by. All right, they're definitely not old and tired. These are the principles I live by. Listen, if you love this video, I feel like if you like this video, then like the video. Okay. If you like this video, let me take this down. If you like this video, then like this video. Remember to subscribe if you haven't. And I appreciate y'all coming up here and being in the chat with us, the live chat on Wednesday nights as TGIW continues. I want to see you over there on the A&O channel. I'll be in the chat there as well. All right. Thanks again for watching this video. I hope this is helping y'all. Let me know if this is good. Let me know if this is helping you. I really want to help and encourage you to kind of go after the thing that God has called you to go after. All right. I love you. And I'll see you in the next little video, in the next chat with Amber and Olivia.